record. Oh, there it does. Sorry. Now we're recording. Welcome to Keys for Home, Series 3, episode what? 11? I don't know. 11?
We'll fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know if it's that high, but we're there.
Yeah. We had a week off because of the holiday. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. What did we get into this last week? I had lots of doings.
Go for it. Start us off, Jennifer.
Tell us, Jennifer.
We had a little game.
I cannot escape the Buckeye.
Yeah, beat down.
I know. I probably shouldn't do that because it's, everybody's going to now turn off the podcast because they hate Ohio State. But like I said, I'm not a bandwagon. I've been born at the university hospital. Couldn't get more Buckeye.
You just lost all of your potential Michigan Wolverine fans.
Yeah.
What did you say? Don't say that. This is a family-friendly show.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like I give out constitutions instead of pins or whatever. And somebody was like, "Well, are you afraid you're going to upset with somebody?" I'm like, "They're probably not my client if they're upset that I'm giving a constitution out, And then I gained a new son-in-law this last week. I went out to Virginia and Mariah got married. So love Hunter. It's great. So now I don't think they're going to PCS this year, but if they do, they'll go together, which is wonderful.
Where might they go?
Probably California because his family's out there and they would, they've talked about wanting to have start a family together. Like they have Rowan, but have another one before Mariah's 30 and be a little closer to his family. And then they'll probably come back this direction. Shocked about wanting to go to Wright Pat eventually to have some Ohio roots for Rowan and whatever others come along. So
it's just amazing. Well, it's a cool thing, Jennifer, because they bought a house at a difficult time. She owns a house. I believe it was near Williamsburg.
Just a little bit east of there. Mm-hmm.
And a really good interest rate, and she'll be able to leave and move to PCS, probably find a renter and be able to, when she makes that PCS, she'll own her first investment property and be able to, if she wants to, buy another one in California, which might be seeing the low end of things, and then cycle it through as she moves back to the East Coast. In 4 years, she could own 2 investment properties and a primary.
That's what they're discussing is do they rent it, which I saw yet again another person who does like economic forecasting stuff say that that in 5 years people are going to look back at people who bought houses in early 26, 25, and 24 and said they made a smart decision. Because when we go to this, if we go to a 50-year mortgage or if these rates drop, it is going to be bananas. Bananas.
I think we're all waiting on the exodus of Jerome Powell. That's my feeling on these rates.
Yeah. Hey. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think it's February or May. I think it might be May.
Which again, that means get it together now. I feel like I'm screaming into the wind.
Well, as long as you have a strategy, if you have a strategy and a long-term strategy, you can make decisions on the fly because your strategy, you're building as time goes on. Time when for those listening right now that may not have a 1 year plan, start doing something. Don't sit there and go, well, in a year I'll just figure it out. That's your loss.
Yeah, he signed a lease today. Today's the day you need to be thinking about a mortgage at the end of it.
Right.
Before we get too deep into the meat of it, Lance, what did you do with Thanksgiving and all this last week?
Thanksgiving, I went to my brother-in-law's, saw their house in Salina, Tennessee, which is very fantastic and beautiful. Mortgages, interesting. On last week we saw the highest interest rates we'd seen in 3 years and the lowest interest rates we'd seen in 3 years in a swing of 72 hours.
It's like Ohio and Tennessee weather.
Yep. And Friday I mean, it was amazing Friday. I was actually on the phones Friday. I called some people we worked in the past with Jennifer, trying to get a hold of it. But I started looking at my data. Some of those people that we helped right before I left Guarantee Home Mortgage and went to Fairway, both great companies. Rhonda is the person that comes to mind.
I was going to reach out to her this week because we're right around her 3-year anniversary.
Yep, should be 3 years, I think. And I think she was in the mid sixes, and I hadn't realized that things had gotten that high that fast even 3 years ago. So when I looked at my database, which I've got over here on the other screen, there's about 800 people I kept track of. Mark, those interest rates, they start at 2.1. Wow. And it probably 85% of that database is less than 3%. Jennifer, names like Batilius. I just was, as I looked through that data over the weekend, I was shocked how many people did that. But I was also shocked when I looked at the data, how many were above 6%. So there's a lot of opportunity. A couple things that happened for me. Jennifer is going to say, hey, why haven't you changed the name on LinkedIn and all these places? There's some legality to that. My NMLS number, which is the National Mortgage Licensing System, I have a certain number. It's 546225. I have to be very careful that whatever name I'm using, if I'm calling myself in the old days, the loan driver, is what it says on here. If I'm Tennessee Mortgage Guy, or if I'm Lance Dammeyer, I have a sponsor. So I've got to figure out the legal way. And I was informed of that over the weekend. So it's probably Tennessee Mortgage Guy powered by. So that'll have
mine should say full out like it does on my YouTube, Jennifer Weithman benchmark. I have to say benchmark when I say Jennifer Weithman.
Yeah.
I love my TN Home is my slogan, but it's not my company.
Yeah. They told me I need to be really careful of that because I bought a website. I have a website. It's tnmortgageguy.com, and it just says coming soon. But if I use that name, I'm not trying to mislead anyone. The law is to protect people from that. So.
Exactly. But others have, and so we have to be a little more stringent.
As Jennifer always says, more fun and games. So yeah. I thought it was as easy as switching it over, but it's not. And to me, the branding is super important. Jennifer and I didn't talk about that. We went to we were invited to go to a branding presentation about a month ago, and it was fantastic. And Mark, they were really telling us about how your brand is almost your most valuable thing that you could have right now. What does Mark Crater represent? What does Jennifer Weithman represent? And they said, they were showing us statistics that 97% of people make their decisions based on what that brand feels like, and you're told that it feels like. And they said reviews were important to it, but more importantly was personal referrals of family and friends. Like, call this guy Mark, call Jennifer, right? Am I hearing that wrong, Jennifer? They're like likes and stuff like that don't even matter anymore. We thought it did, but it's more how does that
perception of your public persona. And how you're viewed. And, like we joke about, okay, I just probably lost a whole bunch of people because I'm a Ohio State fan, but that is who I am. And I'm not going to lie and I'm not going to hide it. I'm a very direct person. I do have other people's best interests at heart, as Lance says all the time. And you either love me or don't love me, and you want to work with me or you don't. Mark, what'd you do for Thanksgiving?
Yes, so I changed it up and I did a turkey tenderloin this year. Fantastic. It was awesome. I that allowed me to, kind of keep the portions size right. And it was just a great change. Probably going to do it next year too. So
nice.
At least that's what I'm thinking. So, and I did my normal traditions of watching. I don't know why, but Braveheart is the movie that I watch at night on Thanksgiving. So funny. I don't know why. I think it's because I never felt like Mel Gibson would have been a good Renaissance, warrior type of character. So I never went to see that movie in the theater. and then I watched it on. Ooh, this is going to age me. VCR tape, I think what we still had, or maybe CDs or DVDs. And the first time that I watched it, I was like, man, was I stupid not to see this movie?
We'll never take our freedom.
Yeah. So, I know it's Scottish, a Scottish film, based on the Scottish fight for freedom, but it still seems to be one of those movies that gets me more into the holiday mode. So.
Well, I think because Thanksgiving was our early founding, and I think that Thanksgiving runs with our revolution a lot. And a lot of the Scottish Highlanders
Yeah.
who did survive came over here, and they were kind of like, yeah, we're not with England again. They were some of them stayed loyal to the crown, but a lot of them were instrumental patriots. So that I can see the correlation, but that's maybe my history lens. So as we approach the holidays, we were talking before we jumped on the recording part to share something special from the holidays, or a special holiday memory, not a gift, something that you look back fondly, or maybe a couple that, tie together when you think of holiday, just good memories, those feel good memories, especially as I would like to say, like as a child, not something you did for your children if you have them, but a feel good moment from your childhood.
I guess I'll go. I got a couple. One from childhood, and then one from being adult. I remember going to Montgomery Wards to see Santa Claus with My List.
Yeah.
And I think that's been lost. As a child, we also had just so much meaning behind the between Thanksgiving and Christmas. There was just a bigger meaning, and I think that's been lost.
It's more rushed now. It was a slower time, a reflective time.
Well, exactly. We also, just remember. I don't know about you guys, but I remember when stores were closed on Sunday.
Except for Schottenstein's, which was run by a Jewish family.
Yeah. And then one as the adult. So I love this tradition. When I bought a real tree for Christmas at the end of the season, at the end of the season, I would saw off the end of the real tree trunk. And I would write the year, and if I could, who was with me, or what.
I love that.
Yeah, and so you can build, and I've got some, but you can build an ornament, and reflect back on the years. So you might say, well, okay, how do you do 15? So every 5 years, I would cut a larger one, and then I would include, all of the years from combine the 5 years into one larger, and then start a new ring. And
nice.
Yeah, filled it in with different little plants and stuff like that. So
nice. Lance, what about you?
You're on mute.
Oh, you muted yourself, Lance?
Sorry, I apologize. I had a dog asleep, and I
no longer asleep.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what the older dog. He's not going to be with us, unfortunately. Anyway, one of the Ohio traditions growing up for the Thanksgiving was we went over to my dad's brothers, and they had a big dairy operation. And if you grew up around or near a farm, a dairy operation is not a once a day thing; it's a twice a day thing. It starts about 5 a.m. or 4:30. Gets done about 9 a.m. And then guess what? At 3 o'clock, you start it all over again. And so we would all head all over to my uncle's house. Everyone's passed. My entire extended family has passed, except my brother and his kids. But it was really awesome. This big old, the old picture you see, Jennifer, of Ohio State with the white house, with the red barns and the lights up. And that's what I grew up living, and we would go out and we did not milk. We had a farm, but we didn't have milk cows. But I was all excited and relieved that I'd only have to do that once a year to get to help with that. It was a big operation. But anyway, when we were done milking and everything was put away, and it got pretty cold, by the way, up in November back in those days in Ohio. And they had a little bit of that this week. They had 8 inches of snow just this week. That's how it was. I remember growing up. And, everybody would be done and we'd get back in the house around 5:30 and dinner would be ready, the turkey dinner. And then the Cowboys game would be on because we were Eastern. And so I was a huge Cowboys fan, Danny White. And that was my thing, was to watch. Then when the Cowboys game, there was no night game. The Cowboys game was over. Everyone was sitting around and you went home. And so I don't know, as an adult, that I have a big tradition for Thanksgiving. It's weird that it bounces around. It seems like sometimes it's the second to last week of the month. Sometimes it's the seemingly last day of the month.
Yeah.
I like building a big fire. I guess that's a tradition, is having a nice big fire and sitting out by it. I need it. I've been looking back at my life. I don't think I have my friends is on the screen. One of my friends to the left of me, I'm a little jealous of her, and that's like, jealousy is never a good thing, but she has a lot of traditions. Her family has a lot of traditions that stand and have held, and I admire that. But it makes me a little bit sad that I didn't do a better job of implementing those things myself. So I need to work on that.
But so a tradition can start today. A tradition can start today.
Right.
Like I'm old. I was born in 67. We didn't start making Buckeyes till 75, I think. But now how many years later is that?
Yeah.
And people literally will.
That would be 50 years, man.
God bless. Yeah. And a lot of times my mom was dipping them, because my mother is, we're all ADHD, but she is like that procrastination. So we're dipping them on Christmas Eve, watching David Letterman. It was hysterical. But so a couple of traditions that are in my family. One that I just love looking back on is my family likes to play games. I'm talking my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, all came to my parents' house. My dad's only brother was killed in Korea, one of the only KIAs in our family, blessedly. And my dad's mom lived with us. So when we had Christmas at our house, it was my mom's family, her brothers, anyone who could come. And then my dad's mom was there too. So it was both sides. But we would play Trivial Pursuit, or we would play Scrabble, and just all generations playing that was so fun for us, and no money involved in it, but it was a blast. And the other, my mom never wanted us to put up our tree, and we had a fake tree. I'm going to get to a second story in a minute. We had a fake tree, artificial, and we would never put it up until the week of Christmas, because when they were growing up, they did not have any money. I've said that the first TV in the house, my grandfather won it in a raffle for Kroger employees in 1958, my mom's senior year. My mother's first bra came from a trash can. My grandfather was a janitor in a wealthy apartment high-rise in downtown, and that's where her first bra came. Like, they had no money. So my grandfather was a baker, and he made the best apple pies. So on Christmas Eve every year, he would make 2 apple pies, one for the family for the next day, and one that he would walk down to the tree lot that was on the corner of Hudson and High, because they lived on Hudson in Columbus, and he would barter for whatever Charlie Brown tree was left on Christmas Eve, so his kids would have a tree. So we didn't put up a tree until the week of. And now, of course, we've got like 12-foot trees, and my mom started the tradition of every year buying an ornament for the kids, which I've done. And when they get their own home, they take that with them, and they send me pictures of their tree. And we still buy ornaments every year. And Mariah informed Hunter and Hannah, that they'll be getting a tree ornament this year. But for a funny story, my brother, my God, what a hellion. I love him, though, and he's a pastor now. He's straightened out. God can get anybody. Wanted desperately a live tree one year. And so I think it was December 23rd. was a Saturday. That's important because we wake up and there is a live tree. It must have been a little bit before that because we had not put up our tree yet. So the week of Christmas, whatever that Saturday before Christmas is, that we would have put up the tree, we woke up and there was actually a live tree in the house. And my brother and my mom is like, "Where did you get a tree?" Between when you went out to the bars at 9 p.m. When I woke up at 8 a.m., she's like, "I am not celebrating the birthday of my Savior around a stolen Christmas tree."
You want to know?
We had to run down to the store later that day. You know the trees on the side of the highway? One of them was lopped off.
That was clearly a fun story, Jennifer.
Oh my God, so funny.
Good.
Not legal, but not involving
Yeah,
money.
I think there's still OHDOT still has a wanted reward for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope the statute of limitations is passed on that. But oh my God, that's such a funny Christmas memory for us. But like I said, just my grandfather finding a way to make Christmas for his kids. My mom remembering that even when we had more funding. And I think, Mark, that's what we wanted to talk about today was if you are on a debt-free journey, your kids, especially if you've been gratuitously spending,
Yeah.
how do you make Christmas special without gratuitous spending? And then also, Lance, we want you to pipe in a lot with if you're on a debt-free journey because you've decided this is the best gift you can give your family is stability of finances. If you're renting, that you are going to have stability of purchasing a home. What are some things that people just gut trigger reaction and think this is what I'm doing on my debt-free journey that can sabotage their mortgageability? So I'm not going to talk a lot. I may ask clarifying questions, but Mark, what do you tell your clients with children who this is a sea change?
So it's not necessarily what I tell them. I draw out of them what is the angst that they're having towards the end of the year. And once I pull that out through the questions and understand where at the emotions are coming from, or where what they're struggling with, that is the core of our sessions workshops. That is for example, I can share with you, obviously no names, but a client who at this time of the year became very stressed out because in their business revenue tends to drop between November through the end of February. So it's a very stressful time for them. And so one of the things that we do where I take them is exactly what we just did. One of the things that is lost is old traditions and passing on old traditions or starting new traditions and shaping your mindset on what we can't have versus what we can build new or we can establish now. So a lot of the parts of the sessions and the coaching is to overcome the feeling like we're not providing enough.
Yeah. And can I say too, I think it's really important for parents especially to understand that time is money. And time is probably more valuable to your child than a gift or money.
Absolutely. If you're looking for ways to protect the progress that you made on your debt journey, and maybe some parents do this already, and there's probably a lot of people that don't. Go to the library. One of the best available resources is the library and the amount. Do you know what it would be? Think about the time, what you just said, Jennifer. It's not what we're giving, because most of the time, I don't know about you guys, but I can think back in my childhood, the toys that I got for Christmas, they lasted about 3 weeks. But the one thing that I would not forget is what it felt 58 years later, obviously maybe not quite that many years, but 50 plus years later, what did I share? The time that my mom and dad took me to Montgomery Wards to go to Santa Claus and stand in line and
or read you the night before Christmas. Do you have
Yes.
memories of that? Or
Yeah.
read you the nativity story? Exactly. So all those things are key on how to do this. And I'll tell you, there is a new trend, and I love it for multiple reasons. These Gen Zs, I love them. I love Gen Z. They are taking things that the boomers, Gen X, and millennials have not done very efficiently or well, and they're saying, how can we learn from that? Which I love, because I always tell people, how, learn from your mistakes, but if you can learn from someone else's better. One of the things that is a real trend right now is one gift from Santa.
Right.
The rest are from mom and dad if there are others. And the reason for it is, I love this reason too, is that when you go to school after Christmas, Santa brought me this, and there's the child sitting over there, well, Santa only brought me this, and they begin to think they're not a good kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I love the one gift from Santa. And then, other things from parents. But then that allows parents to have conversations age appropriately with their children about things. But if start as you mean to go on. And I think a lot of this, honestly, is talk to the grandparents. Grandparents, like one of the big with organizing, it's so frustrating because so many of us have too much crap. And grandparents are just buying and buying and buying stuff. Oh my God, they would love this, and they would for 5 seconds. But then there's the guilt attached to, like, oh, they don't play with it anymore, but I can't get rid of it. But now I don't have room for them to just even move around the house. So, and I love gifting experiences too.
Yeah, there's so many different things that you can do to protect the progress that you've made throughout the year. One of the things that I'm doing with my clients right now is we take December and we use that as a year review, and we look back, and the progress that we made. What we want to be careful about doing is I like using November and December as that defense, ramp up your defense and protect the progress that you've made throughout the year. So you're not starting back and it's just a circular process throughout the year. Last thing, because I know Lance has got a lot to talk on this subject too, is how you spend that time and whether or not that time is valuable. So you brought up something about buying and gifting and all that stuff. And truly, when was the last time that we actually sat down and asked someone what is it that they really would like to do between Thanksgiving and Christmas? And that, instead of just projecting what we're going to do for them, let them share. How would you ask the question? One of the things about coaching is that I'm really good at is asking questions.
Mm.
So for all you listening, if you're sitting around at dinner, you might want to ask them, if you had one thing to do between now and Christmas, what would that be?
Yeah.
And just stop and listen.
Yeah. Lance, let me ask Mark, is there something that, you say you ask the questions, are there key things that you hear from just almost everybody?
Are there key things?
Like when they're talking about like Christmas and stress, are there key things that you hear from almost everybody?
Absolutely. So
what would those like maybe 2 or 3 main things be?
Yeah, so in my coaching session, there is a framework that I follow that as part of the training that I've received from both Ramsey Solutions and John Maxwell's leadership team. And that framework, I've interwoven the principles of both of those training programs. And so largely one in that framework, part of that framework is to understand what are the obstacles that are in our way. And sometimes we're stuck because we're not making decisions about how to attack those obstacles. That's where coaching comes in. And that's largely inside my sessions. We're doing strategizing, and we're doing workshop environments or sessions where we're listening out and we're vetting what are the pros and cons of attacking each one of those obstacles. It's really amazing. And I'll shut up because I'm talking a lot. But how has that transpired for one of my clients? I can share with you, one of my clients this year paid off $100,000 line of credit in 4.5 months.
Wow.
And it would,
And
yes.
when they called you up, they probably thought desperately, there's no way I'm ever going to get out of this.
This person had been struggling for 2 years to try to find a way to pay off the strategy. Or pay off the line of credit. All we did was we identified where the struggles were at, and we overcame them. And that's the benefits of coaching. I'm here to guide and strategize and hold accountability, but you're going to do the work.
Yeah, it's so much like organizing too, because I can tell you, okay, and this is how you organize your silverware drawer, your utensils, or your pantry, or whatever. But sometimes you just need that person to come in and stand beside you.
Yep.
Get you started, encourage you through it, say, no, tweak this over here, or hey, I thought we were going to do that, but this actually needs done.
One last thing on that, Jennifer, real quick. When we celebrated this milestone for them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of toot my own horn a little bit, because the response that I got as we celebrated was, your guidance and your fee is priceless.
Yeah.
This is coming, you have to understand the struggles that someone had for 2+ years.
Yeah, you relieve 2 years of stress. And
we
what
did
does
this
2
in
years of
4.5 to 5
stress
months.
do on your body?
Right. And now, okay, part of the stress for this client is at the end of the year. So we moved up into October and November, and we said, okay, we're going to. One of the things that I want to share with people is that there's a two-pronged approach. And Lance, I'm not trying. I know you've got a lot to say, but there's a two-pronged approach to this. There is an offense and there's a defense. The offense, you go on offense and you go after some of these goals, but you also have a strong defense to protect the progress that you make. So when we were in October, November, we strategized, okay, revenue time for November through February is lacking, is low year over year. Now's a good time to boost our defense. What does that mean? Instead of going all in and trying to pay off debt, we're going to back off a little bit on this debt journey. We're going to build up our defense because this is a slower period of time. Yeah. And I think that's a great segue, Lance, for you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Lance, is when you're talking about tweaking, I know that some people are like, how many times have we heard, I'm paying off all my debt and then I'm going to buy a house, or I'm saving up all this money and then I'm going to buy a house. There's just common fallacies that are not necessarily the best way to use liquidity if you want to get into a home.
Yeah, it's a knee-jerk reaction. So a lot of times, you have an application, I think a lot of people know their outcome when they go into the mortgage process. They know where they stand with things, but they want to buy a home. They're tired of paying rent. And one of the knee jerks we'll get is, well, Mr. Consumer, your debt to income ratios are kind of high. You got a little bit of credit card debt. You got a little bit. Well, I'm getting ready to pay all that off. I'm going to pay all that off in the next 90 days, and then we'll talk then. I'm like, hold on a minute. Let's talk about paying all that off. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I think it's a defense mechanism for throwing up. Like, I didn't want it. You don't qualify. I didn't want it anyway. I was just looking. But it's a defense mechanism. It's the old, you're at Best Buy looking at the computers, and the salesperson comes by. So, oh, can I help you today? And you're like, no, I'm just looking. Well, a good salesperson knows you're not just looking, because on this shiny April day where the sun's out, you wouldn't be here unless you were more than just looking. You have a need to be in the store. So, and that's housing. People have a need. There's the few strategies we use with people that play right in hand. Mark, I don't have a whole lot to say, but it plays a lot into what you're talking about. This is, paying down debt is not I'm just going to do it today. It's got to be a mindset for how you live your life. I think that I'm going to pay it down tomorrow and it's all going to be paid off and all my problems are going to go away is not a solution. That's not a real way of thinking about it.
Me and you're harsh in my groove.
Say it again.
You're harsh in my groove. I was hoping that was the case.
I think that's really important what you said, Lance. My debt journey, for all of you listening and just for you guys here, my debt journey was 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay? It was not something that I'm gonna knock out tomorrow, because it's one of the hard. I feel like financial stability, financial paying down debt. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the hardest things to do. And the reason why is because it doesn't happen overnight. And in our mindset, here is where we struggle, and where the sessions, some of the struggles that we overcome in these sessions is we live in a society that is, I want it now. And when the progress doesn't happen, because you can only throw $3,000 towards a $70,000 debt, it doesn't happen overnight.
Well, and that's the other thing that I'm glad that we're all partnering together, because if your goal is to buy a home, let's say that you have $70,000 in debt and you have $40,000 that you can pay towards things. There are specific ways that you should pay things down that are going to allow you to get into a home more quickly. And sometimes you might not want to pay something down, even though you've got the whole money to do it. Let's say you only had $40,000 in debt and you could pay it all off. Lance, are there not times where you'd want to pay it down to $10,000 and just sit on the other 10 that you would have paid it off, get the house, and then do whatever you want?
When it comes to buying a house, the credit, what you're talking about, Jennifer, is credit utilization. Mm-hmm. Let me back up and give you a little bit of history of my career. So I started in subprime lending 25 years ago. What is subprime lending? That was low credit borrowers, high risk, high credit, high rates. This was in the 2000s. You had to cut your teeth that way to get to the bigs. And that was, the bigs were the SunTrust of the world, the Chase. They wouldn't hire unless you had proof that you could understand sales. I got out of that and I got into banking. I worked for a company called Regions. And within a few years, I was dealing primarily with very high income, high credit people. And when I left Regions after 10 years and got out into the real world of mortgages and helping people, at Regions, this is a great company. They were feeding me or referring to me very high income, they had good credit scores, but it didn't mean they were good with their money.
You could lay down loaners.
Yes. And something happened during that time period that really shaped the rest of my career. That I think is important to talk about here. 2008 happened, the Great Recession, the mortgage fallout. And some interesting things happened in Middle Tennessee that I want to talk to. When we think about credit utilization, often we're like, oh, someone has bad credit, they can't qualify. I will tell you that it's not, credit scores are not what's keeping people from buying houses right now. Overall bad debt utilization is keeping them from buying houses. We've talked about, before this call, we talked about how I looked at a list of 800 of my past clients that I've kept in touch with. and 75% of them had an interest rate lower than 3. So everyone on here watching is like, I hate those people that they got a 3. I can't get that. Guys, there were other things happening in the economy. Just because it was a 3 does not mean it was happy times for everyone. There are reasons that the interest rates went that low, and the reason was the economy actually stunk, and that's what they had to do to jumpstart. And actually, people went through a lot of hurt and lost a lot of things. Mark can tell you about that.
Yep.
I can tell you about watching these people go through that. So nowadays we have a credit utilization problem. Not so much the credit score; it's the fact that because people had mortgage debt, the biggest piece of their debt, at 2 and 3%, they went not crazy. They just went and did other things where we have $11 trillion in revolving credit. Some crazy number like that. Is it 3 or 11, Mark? It's something insane.
Yeah, it's I don't remember. I don't have the number.
No problem.
But
But
it's billions of dollars.
The average rate for that is 23.99%. Oh, I've got a 2% mortgage, but I've got all this debt stacked at an average rate of 23.5 on the back. That's an issue. So when I start to talk to people, I remind them about 2008. This is what happened. A lot of these people in that high-end book paid off everything they had. Their interest rate went to nothing on their mortgage, so then some of them paid everything off. Well, 2, 3, 4 years later, when they came back to me to buy a house, guess what happened? They didn't have a credit score.
Yeah.
And that blew their minds. And it kind of blew mine too. I didn't think it could happen. And why it happened is they paid off all of their debt. They paid off all of their history of what their creditworthiness was. Now, they still could do an FHA loan, but guess what? Back in those days, the FHA maximum loan you could do was about $370,000, and you couldn't buy a house here for that. So, by the way, that's up to almost $1 million now. It's unbelievable how things have changed. And I was just going to say in a couple of years, but guess it's been 20. I can't even believe that. Anyway, so one of the things we talk about, Jennifer, to answer your question is credit utilization, is if we need to get that credit score up, what are some things we can do? The worst thing they can do, which is against everything Mark wants to teach, but it's why I said this isn't just a for now. This has got to be an entire mindset. And if you're going to have a mindset to pay off debt, it isn't just that I'm going to pay off debt. And this is my opinion, and Mark will correct me or have a viewpoint on this. It isn't just, I'm just going to pay off this debt. You've got to do it in a way that helps you and doesn't hinder you. And that's what Jennifer was leading to. You could do a debt snowball, but let's debt snowball it down to, I don't know, $100 on the account, and have the personal fortitude, have the personal ability to not use it again. Because when I pay that to zero, it kind of just hurt me. I don't have a credit history on that. And then I do that with another account, it actually starts to go the opposite way. So some things that the credit bureaus are looking for with regard to utilizing, trying to get you to, I just lost all my monitors, I'm sorry, guys, there it is. These are some of those things. Pay the balances down to 30%. So Jennifer, you said you had $40,000 come in too. I'm looking over that way because that's where my monitor is. So I'm looking at you. You might know you're right there. Pay the balances down to about 30% utilization. Ideally, get it down about below 10%. So let's say you had a $10,000 limit. It's going to help you to pay it down to $3,000. It's really going to help you if you've got it down to $1,000. And don't use it again. Okay. Don't pay it off. Maybe once every 3-6 months, buy a packet of gum with it or whatever the minimum thing is.
Yeah, that's the other thing is use it and then pay it down.
Pay it right down. Yep. Like I said, using the debt snowball, do it. If you're using it to get a credit score up to make it go conforming, get everything down below 30 and you will see your 30% utilization. Again, that means if your limit's 10,000, be below 3,000 being used on that card, and your credit will explode. Buy the house you want to do and then pay it down to zero, eventually pay it off, have one or two things. That's antithetical maybe to what we hear from, they're like, pay it all off. Ultimately, that's where we want to get. Having a zero on the amount owed and having it closed forever, those are two different things. And Mark, speak to that. You've got to have the mindset of doing what we're talking about and then not losing your way, which is hard.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what you said on this, Lance, because in coaching's mindset perspective for their clients, it's first finding out where is it that you want to go with your finances, and so if I have a client that we're wanting to buy a house, I love absolutely what you're bringing to the table. We're maximizing the debt payoff, but we're not taking it to the point where it's going to hurt them, because their goal is, is to use their credit score to qualify and purchase the home. If someone comes to me and says, "Nope, you know what? I'm not even going to buy a house. I have no plans to buy a house. I want
Well, I already own one, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a different approach. One thing about coaching that I really want to stress to the people listening here: everyone's outlook is unique.
Yeah.
Everyone's goal is different,
And your goal may change.
Yeah, and the goal
You may
change.
think, I don't ever want to move from this house I'm in. Life happens, and now you've got to do something else. So you want to make sure you're not shutting doors on yourself.
Right, and I know we're approaching about 45 minutes here.
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to say, and it goes back to how we all met, and that was, you don't, as far as the perspective from where I'm coming from, and I think I pitched this to you guys. People that leave your office and feel like there is no hope, that's not allowed in my book.
Right, same. I always say it's not no, it's when.
You don't get.
We've got to capture that, Jennifer. We've talked about it for years. We've got people that, and Mark, I recommend you do this as well. Sit down and do an interview on camera with some of these people and let your potential future clients see the emotion.
Yeah.
As it
I'm
unfolds.
not
It's just
giving up on
interview.
you. Yeah, I'm not giving up on you. So why are you going to try and give up on you?
Yeah, you don't.
Not on my watch.
When you sit back down in that car and you're headed home and you feel like there's no way that we're ever going to buy a house, that doesn't exist in my book.
Right.
That's where I come in, and you are going to get to that location and you're going to get to that place. And the people here, Lance and Jennifer, myself, you've got the best team.
Although I have to say, I'm worried if prices go up too high. That's what I keep telling people, to get onto it now. Get onto it now. Get onto it now.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jennifer. Get into it right now. But when you have a strategy and you have people in your corner, yes, we want a great deal. Yes, we want good things. However, money doesn't seem to be the most important thing when you've got a strategy and you're building it, and you know that and it's amazing to listen to people think, as I've gone and grown through the changes in my mindset about this debt, the money portion of this may not necessarily be as important as it is to getting the things that the money will purchase.
Yeah.
That's the place that you want to be.
Yeah, that power and that security and that. Yeah, I get you. Well, we're going to wrap up.
Part 2, maybe, Jennifer.
Yeah, I was going to say for sure part 2 on this. So we'll see where we go from here, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Until next week, you guys. See ya.
Yeah.
Have a blessed day.
You too.